Hi, good morning. Happy Friday. My name is Linda Clark, and I am a good longtime friend of Tyra Watson. And she has asked me to discuss grieving and the grieving process and with how it affects men. And so I'm going to dive into that real briefly. I am at work today, as you see, so I've taken some time out to go over this information that I believe is pertinent, that I believe is important, and I believe it's going to help the men in our community and our lives. So I first want to start talking about grief. And first of all, I want to address how most men have come up, most men have been taught that to be strong, and that crying is a sign of weakness, or being emotional is a sign of weakness. And I don't believe that to be true. I believe that we all have feelings and emotions, and I believe that they need to be expressed. Because when you hold things inside, it begins to build up, and then other things begin to come from that, issues on the inside that you haven't taken time to deal with. So I have some notes here that I have written down, and I am so happy to share with you all today. I want to talk about looking at grief as going into it as a preventative measure. And what I mean by that is I want you to look at it as an investment into your mental health. What I would like for you to do is begin to have resources in place now. Because we know that grief is going to happen. We know that we are going to lose loved ones. We know that somewhere along the line in our life that this is going to be something that affects us. And so, as for the men, I'm just speaking only to the men today. I challenge you to have those resources in place even now. Don't wait until grief happens, and then try to deal with it. If you have things in place now, that shows that you are investing in your own mental health, because we don't know how we're going to handle grief until the time comes. I myself have lost both parents, and I'm still pretty young, and it was unexpected. And as we all know, that grief is unexpected, and I didn't know. I didn't have resources in place. I didn't have a plan in place. I didn't know what to do. And so then depression began to set in. And then it led to other things. And I feel as though if I had something in place that I can fall back, that I can turn back to, that my grieving process wouldn't has been as hard for me. That's for myself, because everybody grieves differently. Of course, we all know that we all handle things differently. But I challenge you to have those resources in place. I challenge you even now to begin to find support groups in your area. Begin to search those things out. And if you don't have support groups for men in your area, then you be the one to start that support group. You don't have to already be in a grief position to start a support group. Get the men together and begin to have groups where it is like a safe haven for them to come talk and express their feelings and emotions, and not be judged, because that a lot of men just want that. I talk to men all the time about it, and they're scared to display their feelings of emotions because of what people may think of them, or again, that sign of weakness and vulnerability. I also highly recommend getting counseling as needed, because again, it's that safe haven, that it's that support. They have the tools and resources to give you the information, to give you, to help you through the grieving process. So I do highly recommend counseling. I am a mental health counselor myself, and I go to counseling. And so I believe it's beneficial for everyone, and not to get off the scope, but just not even for grieving, but even other issues in life. So I highly recommend finding a counselor, having those things in place. And then I want to talk about getting an action plan in place. And what I mean by that is like an emergency plan. And I challenge you to have it written up and have it out, and name five things, five things that you're going to do when you begin to feel lonely, when you begin to feel that depression coming upon you. Make your action plan out. because it's going to be beneficial. You're going to need it, because when those times and the moments hit, you're not going to know what to do. You're not always going to know how I feel. And so find those feel good things for you. Like, is it cleaning the house? Is it listening to gospel music? Is it going out to a movie by yourself? Begin to put that plan in place again, so when the grief process hits your doorstep, you're mentally prepared. And I'm not saying you're always going to be mentally prepared, because we're never going to be prepared for grief. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt to lose a loved one. To watch someone die is going to hurt. It's going to change your life. It's going to change your life. But having these things in place will also help go through the process. Learn the 5 steps of the grieving process even now. Even now. That way, when you begin to go through those 5 steps, you can recognize what you're going through and what step that you're at. And so begin to get resources, begin to get books, or begin to look on the internet for the 5 steps of the grieving process. And I challenge you also to begin to study it and learn it. So as when the time comes and it's at your house, you know how to hit. You'll know what stage. You'll be able to identify the stage that you're in. Okay? Then for the men, I also would say, feel free to talk, to share, to cry your emotions, to display your emotions. If you have a wife, sit her down. Tell her what you're going through. Look, this is how I feel. I don't want you to think it's a sign of weakness, but this is how I'm feeling. I need to get these emotions out. I need to talk about it. I need to cry. If you don't have a spouse, again, the counseling is available. Find a best friend, a pastor, whatever you need to do. Have that person, again, in place now, so when the time comes, you'll have that go-to person. Hey, look, this is how I'm feeling. I really need to talk about this. Also, we know that if things are not addressed internally, that they manifest other things to come out. And that's when we begin to look at the suicide rate in men is at 76%. The homeless rate of men is at 85%. The homicide rate is 70% of our men are being killed through homicide. And then 40% are through domestic violence, and not the man being the domestic but the woman being the violent one. And so these is what, when you look at these numbers and you would begin to look at these statistics, with these high percentage rates that the men, I mean, my heart just goes out to them, because I would really love to help each and every one, to give them the supports that they need to go through the different things that they face. And so today, that's what this teaching is about, this information is about, is having those supports in place so we can get these rates down. Because if you're not taught anything, or you don't know, that you don't know how to go through anything, you don't know what the other side looks like. I don't have resources in place because this just happened, and then at the same time I've been evicted, and at the same time my family's falling apart. All this weight is what the men carry on their shoulders. And I challenge even the women, even now, that if you are that wife, if you are that mother, if you are that girlfriend, whoever you are, make sure that you are the support system for the men that's in your life right now. No matter what role the man is playing in your life, be that support system. Go to them today. Let them know, hey, I'm here for you. If you want to talk about anything, I'm here. And we can talk about it without being judgmental. We can talk about it without you ever having to hear it again. And I know and I truly believe that's what the men need. They need to feel that safe haven. They need to feel that compatibility. They need to know that it's okay for me to let out whatever I need to let out, and feel free doing so. And so that is my word for you all today. And I just highly, highly recommended you invest in your mental health, just like we invest in our high blood pressure and diabetes, all the preventative measures that we take for those things. I challenge you today to take those same preventative measures for your mental health, because it is important. Because as we see from the rate and the numbers, that when you don't deal with things, when you don't deal with it, when you let it just fester on the inside, when you sweep it under the rug, these are the things that begin to happen from it. The suicide rate, because so much has happened and you never dealt with it, you didn't know how to deal with it. So again, today, begin to take those preventative measures, begin to put things in place, so when the time comes, because as we all know, the time will come. We are not exempt from death. Death is going to happen. But ask yourself, what am I going to do when it happens? As a man, as the priest of the home, or even as a man, as a father, or even as a man, as a single man, how can I prepare myself mentally for this when the time comes? Okay? Thank you so much for your time today. I hope everyone has a blessed weekend and enjoy your holiday with your families. God bless.